We will now move on to the second topic, which represents the idea of how to raise your frequency. How to raise your frequency. The whole idea, again, is that this is not a complicated topic by any means. That in order for one to basically raise their frequency, they need to understand exactly what uprising in the idea of feeling feels like. So the sensation of how it feels for you to work more so with the idea of your positive energy, working more so into the idea of passion, into excitement, into happiness, into joy, are all commemorative in that way. But basically the idea of the functionality of positive energy, as we have discussed, is that it simply represents a counterbalance. You are not here in this reality to live 100% positive all of the time. That is not even really possible. The whole idea is that you are a wave, like this. And the only time that there is stabilization comes not from happiness, not from joy, not from excitement, not from passion, but they come from balance, from a state of neutrality. That is the middle line that is in between the waves of the up and down. So again, it's all about being able to stay within the fine line of neutrality. In order for neutrality to be reached fully, there must be a balancing between the low times and the high times. So again, raising your frequency is simply representing the idea that the heightening of frequency is bringing you more into an alignment that is, shall we say, catapulting, or in that sense, magnetizing as a gauge to bringing yourself into a counterbalance from negative energy, in that way as you would understand it. So all negative-based situations that represent disempowerment are now looking to be reinforced through positive energy so that empowerment itself can be created. And this is basically, again, a play on words, representing the idea of the true nature of the word, empowerment. Again, the idea of empowerment, in that sense, represents a degree of distortion within the word. Understand that much of your language's words in English are greatly distorted, such as enlightenment or empowered. It would be more appropriate to refer to them as enlightenment or empowered, simply because this is the whole idea of being able to understand the strength from within to understand your true divine power. This would be more so as enlightenment, to understand that enlightenment comes from inside in order for you to truly be in peace and harmony and bondage with your true lightenment, with your light. So again, this is the play of words that we are doing. The whole idea, once again, is that the raising of the frequency is all part of a reaction-based quotient that is connected to the point of your own positive reinforcement. That positive reinforcement simply represents the idea of the gauge being able to turn upwards, being able to move to the other side, and being able to move yourself into the alignment to where the negative connotations that you feel has limited yourself are now starting to be re-exampled and re-patternized in regards to a positive complex. As that positivity now becomes the fulfillment, the particular form of enveloping the situation, that particular energy now becomes cooled, as it were. Very similar as if you were to take out a hot apple pie from the oven and put it on the windowsill to eventually be cooled. At that time, it certainly was hot, certainly was passionate, certainly was positive, but now that energy has now started to ferment. And now it is bringing itself into a natural balance. Now that theme, no matter how long or how short it was in exploring, has now reached a climax of meaninglessness. And that's the key. If you are able to successfully bring meaninglessness to all of your situations, you are within the state of neutrality. The only reason why something has meaning is because you still feel that you are attempting to harmonize with it. You're still not quite understanding it, and so it is diluted into the idea of meaning. So higher frequency simply represents the idea of, again, being able to look into the balance point of this particular situation by firstly bringing it into positive alignment. So when you are able to say the words, I love you, that represents a very high frequency. That is operating on a much more higher degree simply because it represents the idea of your own natural bondage with yourself. The acceptance of all that you are, the acceptance of your expression, the acceptance of everything that you understand yourself to be, is the idea of a higher frequency. Now, higher frequency will always be subjective based upon where one brings themselves in regards to a current alignment. If they feel that their negative energy in that sense, or their negative connotations, is very much down here, they're starting to bring forward that positive reinforcement, and now it starts to balance themselves out. They see themselves in that harmonious vibration. They see themselves in that frequency. And now it is no longer the idea of a positive or negative vibrational flux. It simply is the middle ground. It simply is the balance. Now, it is balance itself that is bringing yourself more into a heightened state of acceleration relating to molecular cohesion. That the operation in regards to your untethering of this reality is the basis about how you are able to heighten your frequency in that way. When you bring yourself into a balance, it actually represents more of a higher state rather than the idea of emotional attachment in regards to any given situation, be it negative or positive. The whole idea is that the positive situation holds a lot of voltage behind it, simply because it is emotion. But even when you're in a positive state, you're only seeing so much of the equation. You're only looking into the idea of the positive side. And in that sense, this is only, again, looking at it through a keyhole. The same thing with the negative. You're only looking at it through a keyhole. When you come to balance and it is neutralized, now you are raising into a platform that is beyond both polarities. And that is the true upliftment of frequency. When you look at things in neutrality, that is the key to the highest frequency possible. Simply because, again, you are detaching yourself, you are actually unplugging these particular cords that are keeping you climaxed to the point of meaning within a situation. When the situation becomes meaningless, you reach higher ground. When the situation no longer feels that it holds assignment to you, you are moving into a higher climax, as it were, of beingness. Again, it all goes back to the example that as you understand nothing, as you know nothing, you understand everything. As you know nothing, you understand everything. And that is the key. Understanding is the result of the digested knowledge. It is not about the idea of feeling that you need to suck up every single bit of knowledge that exists within the universe. But you are basically taking what you feel you have learned from for that energy to be digested into wisdom or understanding. And that basically represents the idea of the wise. That represents the idea of the understanding together. That the understanding and wisdom go hand in hand. And it is for you to become wise. It is for you to become understood. That everything representing your situations have been something that you have been working with in regards to the aspect of attempting to juggle it around to see if it has meaning. Once you have been able to move into that transcendence of harmonizing with that frequency, acknowledging that it exists, forgiving that aspect of yourself to feel that you hold ownership to that situation, and attaining liberation. The liberation, therefore, becomes the understanding. Now, when that situation attempts to reversion itself and repeat once again, you are no longer affected by it because it no longer holds meaning to yourself. That is reaching a higher frequency. It passes through you like a ghost, we will say. So again, that becomes the prime state. The prime state simply represents the idea of you functioning together in the radiance of neutrality, in the radiance of balance, to where nothing is negative, nothing is positive. Simply everything is isness. And that is why when many of you talk to other particular beings, communicate with them and in your own way, that many of them do not have emotional assignments. We ourselves, from where we emerge in regards to the connection with this conduit, do not hold any particular type of emotion whatsoever. Our process is the balancing of feeling. The feeling itself will always be contained within some form of incarnational reality, simply because the feeling is the basis in regards to interpretation. The interpretation itself does not function primarily to the concept of meaning, but in regards to the idea of understanding. The understanding is the feeling. The feeling is the understanding. And so moving yourself into the higher frequency is all about utilizing positive energy into areas that you have felt been negative to a certain point to attain a certain state of balance. Once that balance is achieved, you represent a state of neutrality to where the meaning and assignment of the situation has been rendered inert, which basically means that it has now become meaningless. And that's the whole idea. You are coming into a meaningful life to allow it to transcend into meaninglessness. And again, we're not saying that in the idea of feeling cold or feeling apathetic, because that's not the idea. You are not becoming numb to situations, you simply see them for what they are, rather than the idea of the dramatic emotional attachment on a negative or positive level that you feel is deemed worthy to the point of your existence in this reality, which really it isn't. This is how you transcend the law of confusion, is that when you get more into a balanced state, you're no longer functioning into the idea of sensing, oh my goodness, I must make this really positive, or this is a really negative situation, etc. You're moving past the law of confusion because now you have transcended into the law of naturalness. The law of naturalness is complete and total symbiosis. The symbiosis does not hold decision. It does not hold choice. It does not hold confusion. It simply holds the idea that you are enacting yourself naturally, without hesitation, without confusion, without any particular type of conflict at all, without any drama. And that is the nature of becoming a heightened frequency, a frequency of balance, a vibration of moving yourself into higher alignments past the wheel of karma, past the wheel of space and time, past the wheel of matter, and being able to move more into the purity of consciousness because you are unassigned in regards to a state of meaninglessness where you are now pure consciousness, pure energy together as you would understand it to be. So this is what we will share on that basis pertaining to the idea of the heightening of your frequency. Begin firstly by loving yourself, accepting all that you are, understanding all that you are. And as you do that, you naturally radiate this energy throughout everything within your reality to eventually moving yourself into the balance point, into the nexus of neutrality. We thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all of you. Thank you very much. Farewell for this timing, and we now return to the conduit. We will speak to you again in the infinite moment of now. Goodbye. All right. Thank you very much. Feel free to go to consciousmatrix.com for more videos, private sessions, training, and a lot more. If you have any questions relating to this video or any other video, feel free to contact me, info@consciousmatrix.com. Thanks again for tuning in. Talk to you soon. Take care. Namaste, and may it be well with you. Goodbye.